Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kimiki. Today we're gonna do a movie that I have been looking forward to for a while now. I want to talk about gaslighting. Gaslighting is a term commonly used to describe a person shaping another person's reality via deception. And well, today the movie that we're gonna be watching kind of discusses that topic, or well, this is where the topic or the term gaslighting got its name. This movie, this review is going to inform you on my opinion on the topic, which is pretty obvious. It's not a positive one. MGM presents Gaslight, based on a play by Patrick Hamilton, directed by George Cukor. We open to Thornton Square with horse-drawn carriages and gas lamps. The movie is a classic, set in 1885. The opening scene is in 1875 when Alice Alquist, the aunt of Paula, is killed via strangle. So she got murdered, chicken and burgered at the start of the movie. Then it cuts to Paula in a carriage and she's being taken off by some random man to Italy for singing classes.
No, Paula, don't look back. You've got to forget everything that's happened here. That's why you're going to Italy, to Signor Guardi.
It cuts to 10 years later and Paula is in Italy with Maestro Ghiardi, and he is upset because she is falling back on her singing techniques, and he says this is because she's distracted.
No. Wait a moment, Signorina, it is no use. Paula, you are not concentrating. Your mind's not on your singing.
So Maestro Ghiardi says, dude, happiness is more important than art, so go do what you gotta do, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, because art should make you happy, especially if you're a singer. Being singy should make you happy. I thought my cat was back here for a second. Oh my god. So ella es estatic when he tells her she can take a break from singing classes. So she is gonna go off with Signor Antoine to get married, and she wants to take a break to go to the lakes. By she, I mean Paula, because she is the main character of this play. She's gonna go off to the lakes somewhere in Italy in order to get some time to herself.
You shall have all the time you want. I've waited for you so long.
Oh, wait, we've only known each other 2 weeks.
And she never gets this time to herself because while on the train, she meets a lovely lady named Miss Thwaites. And Miss Thwaites just happens to be from Thornton Square and just happens to start talking to her about her aunt's murder.
I go and say good morning to my flowers in Thornton Square every day.
Thornton Square?
Yes, that's where I live, number 16. Do you know it?
So Paula meets Gregory after the class, and they discuss that Paula is taking a trip by herself to the lakes. She needs time alone to see what she really wants from life, while also being unable to communicate with herself openly while in the presence of Gregory. You wonder why. And she is left there with an emotional distress, and she has to get off the train. But as soon as she gets off the train, guess who is there, conveniently placed at the car of the train that she's getting off of? Antoine. Senior Antoine. Gregory. By the way, I'm living for these fashion statements from this time. It's very cute, very cutesy, very tight and right. To be honest with you, if I could dress like this, I would definitely go back in time to dress like this, in corsets and big buttresses. They end up heading to the lakes together, and Senior Antoine wakes up next day with plans of moving to a square and getting married and moving to a little house in a square in London. That's his dream. How specific of a dream for you to have. And she never for one moment. Anyways, let's get back to the movie.
Where would you like us to settle?
I haven't thought. Paris, perhaps.
Paris?
Mm-hmm.
Rome? How would you feel about London?
London?
Paula agrees, so they move back to Thornton Square. Lacking better judgment. I agree. When they arrive, Paula gets flustered by her old things, all her aunt's old things. So Gregory comes up with a bright idea to lock them behind an attic door and board up the door. He goes as far as to board up the door.
Well then, how would it be if we took away all these things that remind you so of her? The painting, all this furniture. Shut it away, so you can't even see it.
And Paula, before all of the things are locked up, finds a letter addressed to her aunt by her admirer, Sergis Bauer. And Gregory is visibly shocked by the sound of this letter, and he grabs the letter from her and puts all the stuff in the attic. Miss Thwaites is trying to get the maid Elizabeth to spill some hot tea, and she says that Gregory just thinks that people aren't good for her. So you're telling me that nobody is seeing that this is strange behavior. Okay, we're just gonna play along with it. Gregory takes the opportunity to hire a new girl, and her name is Nancy. And Nancy has a crush on Gregory, a little homewrecker. He does this to keep Paula jealous and distracted. Gregory decides to take Paula out on the town, and they go to a museum of sorts where they have crowns of queens and kings. Gregory gives Paula a brooch with a faulty pin, some sort of family heirloom. He says she shouldn't wear it and puts it in her bag. Paula seems to be an appreciator of art and life itself, even though she knows nothing about anything. Gregory appreciates music and has a thing for jewels. A big thing.
Jewels are wonderful things. They have a life of their own.
He brings up that she smiled at some random man while they're out, as if you know every person that you smile at. They get back to the house and the brooch is missing, and she also doesn't tell him that the brooch is missing. Nancy says Paula doesn't seem ill, and Gregory insists that she is. Maybe he means a mental illness, the one he's been putting onto her slowly over time, over the duration of this film. Yeah, that mental illness. Observing the time period of the film, it makes sense that Paula would be submissive to her husband. It's her money affording him these luxuries at the end of the day, so who am I to judge? Gregory goes off to work, and the first instance of the gas dimming takes place. This makes Paula question Nancy, who tells her she didn't mess with anything. Miss Thwaites, out to feed pigeons the next day, sees a random man in town square who is the same guy that Paula smiled at the museum, and it turns out that he's a detective at Scotland Yard, and he is very interested in the Alice Alquist case. For reasons. He must have some kind of power in the system. I don't know if he's a detective or what he is specifically, but he has enough power to change the route that a constable would be on. So I think that's power, if you can change routes of, patrol. And Miss Thwaite starts yapping to this man. You don't know this man, it's a random man. She starts yapping about the people that live in the Alice Alquist house, and how the lady that lives there is strange, and how she'll go in and come out and go in and just never leave the house. She'll come out fully dressed and never leave the house. So apparently the detective has a thing for this dead broad, and he says that Alice Alquist is the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. The chief mentions that jewels were missing, and the detective says that there were no jewels mentioned in the case, and he knows everything about the case. So this makes him more interested in figuring out what happened to Alice Alquist.
Jewels? There's nothing here about jewels.
Gregory makes Paula jealous of Nancy by telling her that she looks pretty when she comes to add wood to the fire. A gaslighter at his best. That's not even his real accent. He's a French man trying to sound like an Italian man, and it ends up sounding Spanish. It's so uncomfortable to listen to. Think about it like this. People take advantage of the fact that people act on emotion. Bad people like to figure out how you react with your emotions, and they will use that against you, all while making you think it's your fault. Yep. Gaslighting 101. Gregory goes on mocking Paula's emotions, saying she's over imaginative and unrealistic in her thoughts and feelings, aka fanciful. And he speaks to her inner child, and he knows it, and that's why he's a dangerous man. Which is why it isn't surprising when Miss Thwaites comes over and Gregory turns her away once again. Stopping social interaction. Now, why would he do a silly thing like that? We don't know. So let's find out.
Well, I don't think we need bore ourselves with them. Tell her your mistress is not at home.
Oh, Gregory, really, she's been...
My dear, if you let her in once, you'll always have her here.
But she has called so many times, and we've never been at home to her.
I do not want people all over this house.
My thought is he's trying to monitor what she or he tells who, but that's just me being silly. Gregory puts Paula's fears towards the maids and skillfully diverts it from himself. He even speaks in complete gibberish at some point, and Paula just pretends to understand. And I replayed that same part like 3 times, and I still can't understand what it says. So I just moved on. I rewatched it several times, so leave it down below if anyone knows what he says. I'm going to put the clip in right here.
You really want to see her. All you had to say was show her at Nancy, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Is this because she doesn't want to be an argumentative wife, or is she allowing herself to be manipulated and distracting herself with dresses and her hair? He says they're going out, and she gets so happy that she sings, but he's not done yet. Gregory goes right back to torturing her, this time with the missing picture. He calls for Elizabeth, and Elizabeth says that she doesn't know anything about the picture. He makes her kiss a Bible. Then he calls for Nancy, and Nancy says she doesn't know. And he tells Paula in front of Nancy that, oh, so should she kiss the Bible too? As if it was Paula's fault or Paula's idea to kiss the Bible in the first place, when it was really his idea. He's trying to make it look to Nancy that it was her idea so that Nancy doesn't like her. Because, yes, of course he knows people talk. They're going to talk about it. So Paula gets dramatic and kisses the Bible to prove that she's telling the truth. Just for 1 second, I want her to question the chances of tonight. The one night that he wants to take her out being the night that suddenly there's a picture missing off the wall, and suddenly he's going to say that she's acting too crazy to be taken out. The one night that he offers to do this, I want her to pause for one second and ask a question. Why is Gregory doing this to me? That's the question you need to ask yourself, Paula. We learned that Gregory's job is a composer, and he works closer to home than we thought. And as soon as he gets to work, the gas problems start, and she starts hearing footsteps again. They receive an invitation to go to a night of music, and Paula decides to go by herself, even if Gregory doesn't want to go with her. But Gregory already sent a note to them saying that they weren't going to come. So the detective is there speaking to the woman hosting the event. She says that she got a note, but Paula wants to go. So Paula got ready and is ready to go, with or without Gregory. Gregory is so frightened that he decides to go with her anyways. That's not the only fright. Apparently the detective is here, and remember, he's the guy from the museum and the one that Mrs. Thwaites was talking to. At the reception, he seems as if he realizes that he forgot his pocket watch, so he accuses Paula and is so distracted by music she doesn't notice that he's the one that stashes the watch in her purse. She gets so overwhelmed and starts crying, so they have to leave early. That night, when they get home, they get into a disagreement. He told Paula her mother was a crazy woman that was left for dead in a mental ward. Paula brings up the letter, and he lies and says that there was none.
I can see you still, standing there and saying, look at this letter, and staring at nothing.
What?
You had nothing in your hand.
Gregory uses Paula's stress against her to set her up for another line of questioning about the detective, and Paula says that she doesn't know who that man is. After all, The paranoia piranha shall get Gregory, because that's what happens when people lie. Their lies come back to get them in the ass, and they've finally caught up with him. The moment he's wrong, he blames it on Paula's memory. She says that she needs a psychiatrist and she needs a doctor, so at least she knows she needs help. That night when Gregory goes out to work, he's followed by the constable and the detective. Paula hears footsteps again and goes to the lamp. How often does he go to work, Paula? Because the fact that you aren't starting to suspect him is suspicious. She calls Elizabeth to tell her about the noises, and she can't hear them. I mean, she's old and hard of hearing. What did you expect? Paula starts hearing voices, angry ones, so I guess Gregory's plan is working. She's gone mad, I tell you, mad. She and this boy called Gregory. They'll lock you away. They'll put you in a jail cell. Okay, I'm done.
She died in an asylum. She died in an asylum with no brain at all.
The detective comes over and introduces himself to Elizabeth as Brian Cameron and gives Paula a fanciful flashback when he hands her the glove that her aunt said she gave the other hand of a glove to an admirer, and the admirer turns out to be the detective. It just happens to be the detective that's obsessed with her murder case, because that's how plays work. He confirms that the gas is dimming and that he can in fact hear footsteps, so that Paula is not going crazy. Now Paula knows that she's not going crazy, and Cameron goes into Gregory's room and breaks into his desk. Everything is revealed. The brooch is there, the letter is there. Everything that he was hiding from Paula this whole time is on top of this big evidence drawer. He did not do a good job at hiding it. The detective recognizes the name Sergius Bauer and says that he was a pianist that played for Alice Alquist in Prague. So they compare the letters to the letter that was sent to the lady that was holding the music reception, and that's how they see that Sergius Bauer and Gregory Antoine are the same person, because they have the same handwriting. So the detective leaves to go get Sergius Bauer, Gregory Antoine, that guy. He leaves to go get him. That's the same night that lucky Gregory found the jewels that he was looking for. So he doesn't even need to worry about that. He came through the attic door and just popped through the barricade. If it was so easy, why was the barricade put up in the first place? You wonder. Things are questions, and questions are things. Cameron was waiting for him where he usually gets out, so he didn't get caught immediately. And when he goes through the door, the attic door, he goes straight to his room and sees that his desk has been tampered with. And he immediately accuses Paula. And Paula is so sad because she's just sitting there in her room in the darkness, broken. Like, I can relate to Paula so much because, and I'm going to tell you at the end of this video, but let's finish this video first. I'm going to tell you a little story time at the end. He thinks that his plan has finally worked because Elizabeth says that there was no man that came to visit Paula, even though Paula says that there was. And Elizabeth can see right through his manipulation tactics now. So, yay, Elizabeth. Yeah, before she was thinking that she was just a sick lady. Paula thinks that she has completely lost it, and Gregory is laying it in, and then the detective comes back to save the day.
Yes, Paula, you dreamed it. You dreamed all day long.
Are you telling me that I've dreamed?
Everything.
All that happened?
All that did not happen.
Then it's true. My mind is going.
Haven't I told you, Paula?
It was a dream.
Like all the rest.
Then take me away. I can't
Yes,
fight
Paula,
it anymore. It was a dream. Then take me away. Take me away.
Was I any part of this curious dream of yours, Mrs. Anton?
The detective goes for Gregory, and he has a gun, so shots are fired. During the commotion, Miss Thwaites finds herself in the house and gives herself her own tour, and they're fighting and they're running around, and then eventually, with the help of the constable that was changed, like his route was changed at the start of the movie, he comes in to help Cameron capture Gregory, and that is how the movie ends pretty much, other than Paula going into the room and pretending to be a mad person and saying, "I'm mad, I can't help you." And yeah, that's how it ends. My thoughts on this movie are just a quick rundown. I really liked it because it's one of those movies that I would recommend you to watch. This is probably the second movie I would recommend you to watch. just because I want you to see how it goes down, and just pay attention to the facial expressions, pay attention to the tone of voice, pay attention to the pauses, everything. It's an old movie, so they really over exaggerate the acting, but as long as you look at it with the subtleties of someone who's trying to hide something, which Gregory Anton is a good character for analyzing that. As long as you look at it as somebody trying to hide something, you will never not get the point of the film. Go into it knowing that Gregory is a bad man, and you will never be gaslit again. I promise you. I cannot be gaslit. I was gaslit in the same form, and I think that it's because of my DID and my psychosis. I put myself in psychosis from watching this movie, and I was in psychosis for a whole year without realizing. I had gone mad, I tell you, mad, and I was so dissociated for a whole year, and I was hearing footsteps in my ceiling. I was thinking all sorts of stuff. If you go on my TikTok, you can see that I was going crazy, and that went on for a year. And it's partially because I watched this movie, and partially because of my ex-boyfriend, who was like somebody that I wanted to give my life to and love deeply. And he didn't want it. Lucky me. So watching this movie and relating to Paula in a different way, like when I tell you, instead of the gaslights, my dissociation, my DID was making my eyelids flip. I don't know if you realized it, that this week I have better eyelid control just because I'm more aware of my body. I can't get very dissociated with bangs in my eyes because I know who I am. But the moment I start observing what I look like, that's when the problems start. Anyway, so I was gonna give my life to this guy, and it didn't work out the way I thought it was gonna work out, and it made me dissociated, and I was gaslit into thinking that someone loved me when all they wanted was my jewels. And by my jewels I mean my home, and it is a jewel, and I will take care of it. So if it's anything that you get from watching this video today, it's watch the movie, do not get gaslit, watch it. And my rating for this movie is 9 out of 10, because I took the 1 off because any woman with any kind of street smarts whatsoever, which is why it's just 1, because I understand why Paula doesn't have any street smarts. She was raised in a rich household with a rich aunt that probably paid for drivers, well, not drivers, but riders to take her everywhere she had to go. It's so much in-depth analysis that I can do in this movie, and I just want to talk about it. So I know why Paula is the way she is. Women who are like that need to be careful, because men will play into your fantasies and they will lead you down the wrong road. Males that are like that as well, because women will play into your mental fantasies, your male fantasies. I was a woman that played into male fantasies, or well, I was playing into them because the male inside me wanted to see me in certain situations. And then I realized that I'm making the male inside of me happy by being a slut. So I said, why stop being a slut? Why would I ever stop being a slut? Anyways, thank you for watching this video. I will talk to you guys another time. It was so much fun sitting down getting this video done. Once again, watch the fucking movie. Watch it. I'm so glad that we got to talk about it together, but watch the movie. Okay. Bye.
Told me he didn't know who.
What did he say?
He said I should take my happiness.
And will you? Now. Why do you still hesitate, Paula?
But I don't know you. I don't know anything about you.
No.
No, I suppose I've met him somewhere.
You're telling me the truth.
Of course. Why should I lie? I don't know who he is.
Yet you smile at him. Why?
I tell you, I wasn't thinking. I don't know why I did it.
Never mind about up there. Whole floor's been boarded off.
Ah, those noises up there. No, woman. You suggesting that this is a knife I hold in my hand? Have you gone mad, my husband? Or is it I who am mad? Yes, of course, that's it. I am mad.